I want to talk about this. The topic is, y'all don't seem to want actual tech tips.
Yeah, I saw this.
Did you check out the video?
I checked out the video. There was also, if I remember correctly, there was actually a Reddit thread talking about how good parts of the video were, even though the person recognized. I think it was about this video. I don't remember. I didn't know this was going to be a topic in the doc, so I didn't prep for this. How good parts of the video were, even though they're usually just interested in the entertainment parts of the video, they saw how it was like connected to real world things. And they're like, wow, this is really cool. And I was like, yeah.
So we did a video this week that has changed titles a couple times because it's performing
Trying to make it work
terribly. And basically it was me and Elijah, and I got to give some credit to Plouffe, who was actually the one who did the Facebook Marketplace dumpster diving before the project got passed to Elijah to get it across the finish line. But right now it's called "I Built an Insane Surround Sound Setup for Under $250." And the original title focused on building an entire home theater for less than the price of the most popular soundbar. And I don't know if the Bose TV speaker is the most popular soundbar today, but it was the last time we did why is everybody buying this soundbar. It was the most popular soundbar on, I believe, Amazon was the platform that we were using for that series at that time. And the amount of criticism for this video / the extremely low performance of this video has been a little demoralizing for me, to be perfectly honest with you. I've seen a lot of people that are kind of dunking on it for being, another Facebook Marketplace video. I've seen a fair number of people dunking on it because we're comparing against a new soundbar instead of comparing against a secondhand soundbar. So they see it as kind of like an unfair fight. I've seen quite a few people say that, the odds of them being able to find the exact parts that we're using are basically zero. Therefore, this is not applicable to anybody. And I gotta say, guys, I don't know. I don't know how to deal. I don't know how to deal with that. And if the video was performing great, like if it was getting a ton of views, then it would be fine. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm looking at this going, like, real tech tips might not be sustainable. Like, if people are, what did I do? What can I do differently? I guess is what I'm asking, because like to your, like what you said is exactly right. Like that's not the point. The point is not finding the exact AV receiver that we did.
Yeah.
The point is the journey. Did you watch the video by any chance? And it's fine if you didn't.
No, it wasn't this one. I watched a different one.
So basically, what we did was we got a few different options. We started
the Land Center audio one.
Got it.
Yeah.
We started with an old home theater in the box. So it was a number of years old, and it was probably around $500 when it was new, but it was like $40 today, which realistically for those kind of low quality, semi-proprietary surround solutions, probably more like it. They tend to be a little bit overpriced at MSRP, but if you can get them on clearance, they can actually be a pretty great deal. So we started with one of those and showed that even for $40 on like a marketplace site like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, we could absolutely obliterate this thing. We were unflinching in our acknowledgement of the inconvenience and the wiring mess. That was another thing, man. I saw people like defending soundbars super hard for the ease of use, and I'm like, guys, we acknowledged that so directly that I don't know how we can acknowledge it more. We stepped it up by upgrading our left and rights so that, particularly for watching anything with music in it, which is like all content, we could get a bit better of a soundtrack experience. We upgraded our amplifier, or maybe we upgraded the amplifier before we changed the speed. Whatever. But we got a cheap AVR, and with the intention not of using it for video switching, because you can't use an older one for video switching if you want to run like a modern 4K display or whatever the case may be. So we got an old amp, and old amps, like they're still great amplifiers. If you buy something that was decent 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You can still get a really nice amplifier. And then you just don't run your video through it, which for most people is fine because your TV is probably going to have anywhere from 2 on the very, very low end to 4 inputs anyway. So you just run everything through there. And then we added a subwoofer. And then we added some cheap towers that we got. And the final configuration was probably around $240 compared to the Bose TV speaker, which is $250. And our point was just, and there were so many tech tips along the way, I guess is what I'm trying to get to here. Sort of talking about speaker impedance best practices, talking about what you can do if you don't have eARC support on your receiver. So talking about optical connections and the good things about it and the limitations of it. And I
think, honestly, past a certain view count, there just isn't really room for it. Maybe I'm being too doomer about this. I would like to think that I'm being too doomer about this, but I don't necessarily think I am. I think a pretty good example of this is maybe Michael Reeves. When you look at some of Michael Reeves' videos, if I remember correctly, his very early videos, he talked more about the programming that was involved and showed more of it. And these days, it's usually like a comical montage where sections of the code like fly past the screen. Like it's different. People don't actually care. I know there was like, if you think about old YouTube, there was a lot of videos that were like tutorials on how to do something. And then the people that were making the tutorials on how to do something videos realized that no one was actually doing it. They were just watching them for the content. So they tried to push entertainment. And it started leaving the actual tutorial space.
There's some really good insight in Floatplane chat. Like some people are saying, yeah, I really liked it. To be clear, I mean, 900,000 plus people watched it.
Yeah.
And like the like-dislike ratio is fine. Like it's not like people are hating on it. I'm just trying to figure out how to make, like someone here said, where's their comment? Maybe it was just not that great of a video. Can we just move on? Well, no. The point is, like, I'm trying to figure out how to make this more accessible because I want people to save money. Like that's why we do this. That's why we started doing this in the first place, right? Is bringing the people tech tips, and we want to do it in an entertaining way, but we want to like help. So I'm trying to like figure this out. Why does being critical of the content mean the video was bad? Well, okay, no. Hold on. There's some really good comments on it. So some people are saying in my area, marketplace, especially for this kind of stuff, is kind of terrible. I sometimes have to travel a couple hours for a deal on gaming computers. Yeah, well that's a thing. Like that's a thing here too.
Yeah.
And we acknowledge the time spent in it, and I think that. Like that mindset of like sort of bargain hunting is what we're trying to get across. So maybe that's something that we need to acknowledge more directly is like, hey, this has a cost in time. Like, do you think that's something that would help?
Maybe. I don't know. Was that not explained?
Bets and Bulls says, I found it a bit hard to get what the point of the video was. I felt like it was a little bit all over the place. So maybe it's something where we need a bit of a better summary, or we need
a couple other comments like that.
We need more like visuals to kind of drive it along. Bordaga, I think, probably has the best comment I've seen on it so far. I bet the same video would have blown up if you'd done 5 versus 50 versus $500 home theater speaker setup. And that is probably the best. Maybe we just should. Maybe we should revisit it and like keep that same stuff, get a $5 option. We've already got our $50 option. We upgrade our $250 option a little bit. We take it to $500. We get a $5,000 option, and then we like contact Clips or something, and we like borrow
crazy.
Yeah, we borrow like a $50,000 option, and then we do it again.
Back or whatever.
Postman says, as an AV professional, I really enjoyed the video and the journey. I guess maybe that's the thing, is maybe the journey is too hard to follow along. Maybe like simplifying the format to like 5 versus 50 versus 500 is the way to go.
I did see a fair amount of comments on like maybe there should have been a better explainer at the beginning because I didn't understand what the video was about.
Telesco says, you called everyone out for making the worst choice. You made your audience butthurt. I am in this tweet and don't like it. That's probably a good point too. Like, so then is part of this that people are watching tech tips just to know their choice was validated as opposed to...
We've known that forever. That has been true.
I can know something.
Whole time.
I can know something cognitively without fully.
We legit talked about that.
Being willing to accept it
at NCIX.
That makes me sad, though.
Yeah, I know, but
why aren't we allowed to say, "Hey, this thing that's super popular is not that great"? Like, man, do you remember when probably about like 9 years ago, ATH-M50s, these garbage headphones, like popped off in popularity because of some like, I don't know, they got a lot of attention. Let's just say they got a lot of attention for a little while. And you and I were both kind of sitting there going like, what? Like, people buy these because they're disposable rubbish. Yeah. That's why they use them in the studio, not because they're good. What is happening right now? Yeah. And I do genuinely think if we had come out and made a video when that trend took off, that was like, the ATH-M50s are not very good and people need to stop buying them, we probably would have just gotten destroyed.
I think it's one of the two. You either are right after or are the turn of the tide, or you get slaughtered. One of the two. If you're the turn of the tide, then your video is going to explode. But if people aren't ready for it yet, so you're not the turn of the tide, then they'll just crap on you.
Isaac V says, it was hard to follow. You scrambled a lot of parts and I didn't really get what was happening. By the way, I would like a lot more technical details and what they're about. Okay, but so those two things are definitely not going to work together. A ton more technical details is going to make it a little harder to follow. I can promise you that. But I do agree that kind of like in the last Scrapyard Wars, where we went back, we basically sent the edit back to the kitchen. You never saw the original edit. I sent the edit back to the kitchen. I said, look, you guys take however much time you need and make sure that we have these on-screen visuals that make it really clear what parts we have now, what we've added, what we're subtracting, who we're negotiating with, and where the money stands. Important. And even then, one prominent viewer couldn't figure out that I was never at a negative balance. So...
Yes, you were.
That's in spite of our best efforts.
Yes, you were.
It's in spite of our best efforts.
Yes, you were.
Swifty says, I totally watch reviews for things I've already bought. And that sort of validates your validation seeking.
I do sometimes too, but it's not necessarily, it's like kind of to see where it's at, if that makes sense. And there's products where, like, you know, I'll do some research on it. I'll buy it. I'll try it out. And I'm like, yeah, like it's working, but you know, it's not 100%. And then I'll see some new product comes out. It'll get compared against that new product. And then I'll be like, yeah, okay. I probably should have waited. This isn't great. Like I allow my opinion to be changed. Or honestly, I'll sometimes buy something. Someone will review it against something else and say that it's crap versus the thing that they like. And I'll be like, yeah, I just don't agree. But like, that's fine.
Tim says there was a bit of difficulty when you were between the two systems. Like, you had the center channel from this one, but the receiver from another one. I had a bit of difficulty knowing where the value was halfway through, but it all kind of came together at the end. And I think that is probably another like gold star good comment, because
hard to track.
I still make videos with the intention that people watch the whole thing. I know better than that.
Yeah. You almost have to make like multiple videos.
You need to have like the payoff. And it kind of kills
20% viewer video, the 40% viewer video, the 60% viewer video.
You can never have like, where's he going with this? It always just has to be very clear. And that's something that is easy for me to forget. Because I've always...
Kind of hard to write for, I imagine.
Yes and no. I mean, that 5 versus 50 versus 500 format...
That kind of flows. Yeah,
sure.
So, yeah, I guess you kind of have to shoehorn into a format that works for it, or it might be more difficult to write for. I suspect that's the case.
Sock Hadaby says the established tiers seemed to borrow stuff from the others a bit too much, which made it harder to follow for some reason. Yep, I think that's very fair. In fairness to me, I didn't source the stuff, and so I didn't know exactly how it was all going to go together. So I was kind of working with what I had, but that's really valid, and I think that's something that I and the content team could have worked on ahead of time to make it more accessible by having like a well understood format. I think that's what it basically boils down to, is we could have done a better job visually of showing exactly what it was we were doing, and having a better established format wouldn't hurt. I also think that some people kind of got fixated on details that didn't matter. I saw some people talking about how, well, I don't even have a home theater room. And it's like, well, no, that's not the point. We're shooting in here because it's really convenient. But you could do this anywhere. And I think a lot of people kind of missed that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm looking into booking a ride right now.
Lieutenant Salty, the video was important. Too many people have crappy sound bars and have no idea what they're missing. Yeah, I mean, that was why we did it. I thought it was a really important video. Mantisa says, are you just focusing too much on a loud minority? No, because the whole point of this is that last thing that I just read. So many people have the wrong thing and need to hear this. And it might not work for everybody. Not everybody has the space. Not everybody has the wife acceptance factor to be able to, know, put a bunch of random speakers they found on Craigslist in their living space, right? Like, it's not going to be applicable to everyone. But I do think that before you make that decision, you should be well informed. That's it. I want people to make informed decisions. And that was why we made that video.
Like, if you're interested in tech, if you're interested in tech, if you don't have a TV even, I think it can still be an interesting journey to see what someone would do to set up that type of a system.
Yeah, because surely you might have friends and you want to be the knowledgeable tech expert in your group,
right?
I assume, right? Like I think so, right?